This is the video for the main program of Change Picture. We're going to go over here and click on Program in the red stripe. Here I've highlighted in green what we're going to go over first. Up here it first says branch if equal, task equal to 0, go to AA. Well, task will only be equal to 0 at the very beginning or at the beginning of a new game. Next line, if it wasn't 0, it says take the absolute value of game number and put it in game number. And then it says branch if the game number is equal to the was game number. In other words, the last time it went around, it was this game, which means we don't have to initialize this game, so it says go to AC, which is down here. But if it has to initialize the game, it continues on. And the next thing it says is, well, now set the was game number to the game number. Set task equal to 1, so it's never going to be 0 again. And then we're going to set show answer to 0, meaning don't show the answer on the screen. And the next line says fill the 6 things it found with 0. Meaning none of the trees have been found, that is, the change trees. The next one, stat, is something that sets up the number of notes there are to be put in the blue note box. I'll quickly go back to the program. This is the blue note box. And see here, there can be several of them. You can go to the next one and you can go back. This stat line is what told it to do that. The next line says set the wait ticks to 3. That's how long it's going to wait to read in the trees. The next line says call subprogram 1 routine 0, and that's going to build the data and for the game number and read in the pictures. The next line says branch if not equal to 0 to AB. Otherwise you come down here and you're going to set the wait ticks to 30. The reason for that is there's 131 different trees that have to be read in. They're all JPEG pictures. And in the very beginning it needs to read in all the trees. So if it was to start right away without waiting so many ticks, some of the trees might not be there, and the forest won't be populated. So the very first time, it's going to set the wait to 30 ticks. However, if it knows it did that already and read the trees in already, because once isn't 0 anymore, it'll go right down here to AB and exit. Now I've green highlighted another set of instructions. Here's where it said to put note 1 on the screen. Now this is note 1, and when note 1 was entered, it was entered down here by hitting the brown box, and here is where note 1 got entered. So it's telling it to put note 1 in the blue box. Then it says add 1 to task. Then it says, is task greater than the wait ticks? Go to AE. That's down here. If it's not greater than that, the next thing you do is see, is the task not equal to the wait ticks? Then you go to AD and exit. So it's increasing task 1 time. It goes around, and it goes around 20 times a second. And the wait, as we saw up here, was set to 30, so that's 1.5 seconds. That's how long it's going to wait for the trees. But right before it continues on here, it's going to call subprogram 1, routine number 1, which is create the 2 pictures of the forest. That is, once it's read the trees in, it then can go on and create the 2 forests. Let's go back to the program. Here's the one forest, here's the other forest. So once it creates the forest, it doesn't have to create them again. Now I've highlighted another set of instructions. The first two have to do with showing these videos on the screen and letting you pick one you want to see. Well, that doesn't have to do with the game, so we're going to skip these two instructions. But the next one says to call subprogram 1 and do routine number 2, which is display the two forests and draw a line between them. Well, if we go back to executing the program, here we see the two forests, and here we see the line drawn between them. That's what that routine does. Next it says set the font to bold 24 point. Set the color to a little red 4. No green, no blue. Then set the values for X and Y, that's the position on the screen, and show game number. Then add a little bit to X, says 20, and then it says box the number, game number. Well, let's execute the program and see what that means. See, here it put the text in a dark red, game number, and then it asks to box the game number in a box. That's here. I'm sorry I skipped over this one instruction that says call subprogram 1, routine 3. If show answer is equal to 1, show red circles on the top of the trees. Well, let's go back and execute it. And let's click on toggle it on and off, the answer. And here it shows a red dot on top of every tree that's changed, and you'll see there's 6 red dots. And you can toggle it back off. You toggle the answer on and off, and it'll show it on both sides. Notice those are the trees that changed. Now we're going to go over the instructions that made that blue note box. Here it sets the value of X, sets the value of Y, how tall the box is going to be, that's T, how wide, W, color 6, which is a dark blue, rectangle fill, that means make the box. But right after that it says make that box clickable. And if somebody clicks on it, say that it's click number 6. And then it adds a little bit to X, a little bit to Y, sets the font to bold 12 point, sets the color to 990, which is bright red, and green, which is yellow, and then says display the text, toggle the answer on off. Right after that it says did they click on 6? Remember up here it said the box is, of that rectangle box is set to click 6. And then down here it says, did they click 6? If they didn't, it goes down here. But if they did, it adds 1 to the value of show answer and mods it with 2. Alright, what that does is show answer is going to be a 0 or a 1. Because this mod means to divide it by 2 and keep the remainder. So that's what it means here by toggling this show answer on and off. And up here we knew about this one particular routine that it calls, which is what does that displaying. Alright, we'll go back there, we'll look at that box. Here is the blue box that says toggle the answer on and off. And now we know it changes a value to 0 or 1. Now I highlighted another set of instructions. Here it says the call subprogram 1 routine number 4 was make answer trees clickable and test for clicks. Well, I'm going to execute the program. I'm going to go to this option called data, and I'm going to click this box that says click areas. here are the click areas for the trees that have changed. Now, since they're the same positions on both pictures, you can see the two sides here are similar. Those are clickable areas. Up here you'll see that blue box that was number 6 clickable. And here, the 1 box, which is where the number for the game was entered. And this one over here, number 7, is where you ask to see the YouTube videos. Here, if I leave data, you'll see that's the toggle YouTube on and off. I'll go back to the program. So there we saw that the trees were made clickable. Then, subprogram 1, routine 5 is show a yellow circle on top of the found trees. Well, I'm going to go back there again. Now, I could start clicking around here and say, well, that tree's different, but I will cheat and I will say toggle the answer trees. So now I'll go and click them. I click this one, it turned yellow. Well, actually it became yellow. It's red only because I asked to see the answer. I'll start doing all of them. When all 6 are found, it puts a message up here. So let's go back to the program. Notice it says if all 6 are found, it's supposed to go to AM down here. Otherwise, it's just to exit. Now, I've highlighted another set of instructions. And here it sets a value for X and Y, that's a position, a tall and a wide, T and W, a color 20, which is a dark green, but then it says do a tick on T 16. The ticker is going to be modded with 16. Since the tick is an integer number, and it keeps going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up forever, when you mod it with 16, that value is going to be 0 to 15. Now, we can go check to see if that's true, because we can execute the program, go to data, let's stop looking at those, and we'll look over here at the value of T. If you can see, it goes from 0 to 15, and then 0 to 15, and 0 to 15. On and on. Turn the data off, we go back to the program. That's what's happening here when it says tick T16. Then it says branch if less than 7 to AN. Well, if it's less than 7, the green color is selected, but otherwise this red color is selected. That's a dark red 300. Then the rectangle is made. Well, that's this rectangle that's being green or red. Makes it look like it's blinking, but actually it's either green or red. Back to the program. Well, after it does the rectangle, it adds a little to X and a little to Y, because it has to position the text inside the rectangle. Sets the font to bold, 12 points. The color to yellow, 990, which is bright red, bright green. Then it says display the text, you found all of them. And we did. We found all of them. Alright, this is the end of the video on the main program of Change Picture.